On today's episode, we will be speaking with Miss Anushka Modi, clinical psychologist. We're going to be talking about teenagers and their crazy emotional outbursts. This is an episode worth watching, parents.
Yes, very much needed. Welcome to TalktousToday. On today's episode, we are speaking with clinical psychologist Miss Anushka Modi. She is the founder of Avian Mental Health, an organization working towards providing multidisciplinary mental health services for all age groups and individuals. She's focusing on parent-child relationships with her initiative, Raise Them Right. And today we will be discussing how to deal with teenagers and their emotional outburst. Welcome, Anushka. Welcome to Talk to Us today.
Thank you so much for having me over. I'm super excited to talk about this. And,
Yeah,
I think
same
most
here.
parents would want to just know, right? So I think today's discussion is going to be quite enriching. Yeah.
We put out a preliminary video to tell people you were doing, and we got so many questions and things like that from our viewers. And obviously, right, we all are sitting with our teenage kids and we're like, oh my God, where are those sweet little angels we saw last year? Where have they disappeared? But let's, before we dive into those questions, I think parents today do understand. I think most of us in our spaces around do understand that teenage life is really hard. There's a lot more choices, there's a lot more information. And so it makes, and acceptance isn't what it used to be in any of us. So it's hard to be a teenager today in 2025. And even though we're all more communicative than the generations before us, but we still find it hard to understand them. So first off, Anushka, why are teenagers so emotional and moody? Let's talk about that. Let's understand the core.
I would say pre-teens as well. It's not just teenagers, the pre-teens as well.
Actually, that's so true. But if we really come to think of why they are on this emotional roller coaster, like there are a bunch of reasons, okay? And first thing first, teenagers want to act and they want to be made to feel like they're adults. It's something as basic as that, right? They want to be respected. They want, they don't like to be micromanaged, right? They want their autonomy to be respected. And one of the reasons why there are these emotional outbursts is because they are constantly feeling misunderstood. This could be at school, this could be at home, this could be at a community level, right? This constant feeling of, nobody understands me is there at the back of their mind. And that could be one of the reasons why, anything could trigger, right? And something that I talk to parents about is that, okay, say for example, there was a fight at home and your child reacted in a certain way. You may think that they're reacting to that particular situation, but they might be holding on to many, many things from the past. And all of that reaction is just an emotional buildup of those situations and incidents, right? So I think there's just so much that they're trying to figure out, right? And if I just want to maybe get a little scientific here without like getting too technical, is that their amygdala, which is like the part of your brain that's responsible for emotions, is on an overdrive, right? And it's developing at a very, very fast pace. So emotional reactions come much faster than logical and critical thinking, right? So that becomes a major, major reason for why they're quick to react emotionally and not think logically.
Wow.
So it's what you're saying is the emotions, because they're not fully developed as adults and know how the critical thinking works. If I may, is that for kids, their emotions, and here we are as parents, as authorities, right? Parental authorities going, hey, you can't snap back into us like this.
Yeah, you're right.
I cannot emphasize enough on how important it is to, collaborate with your kids. It's always collaboration over control. So a lot of times parents are like, you can't do this because I said so. Well, that's not going to work. That's just going to want to make them rebel even more.
Yeah, and you will not, and Anushka, with my daughter at times, generally what we have learned so far, right, reading parenting styles, that okay, if a child tells about something, you question, you try to get things out of, keep asking questions. And the moment I start doing my, you don't trust me, I am telling you don't trust me. You're asking me questions. I'm like, I want to understand better what you're
Yeah,
thinking. So it just everything we
yeah,
do fires back. So
right, right.
So that's
And
another key
trust,
element. Anushka, let's
yeah,
talk about that word trust. What does that really mean?
yes,
Let's
yes.
talk about that word.
I think trust is the foundation of a strong parent-child relationship, right? And a lot of times kids want to know that my parents trust me, right? They want to know that, they trust us not just in the things that we do, but in the decisions that we take. This could be as basic as, I want to go for that party and it's going to be at 10 in the night. Am I allowed to go? Right? You have to trust your child to make decisions. But a lot of times, parents walk in with a question, and that is like, say, for example, we let them make their own decisions and they make a mistake. Now what? Right?
Yeah.
And they are going to make mistakes, right? There's no saying that, if they're taking their own decisions, so many times us as adults, we take decisions which end up, backfiring for us. So kids may do that too, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you have to allow them to rectify their mistake and rebuild that trust, right? So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say that your kids aren't going to break your trust. They are. At some point, they're going to do it in small ways or in ways bigger than that. But that's not the end of it. How many times, as parents, we're letting our kids rebuild that sense of trust?
So we do allow them to rebuild their trust because there's no choice. We're not going anywhere. And this is what we keep telling our child, no matter
Yeah,
what mistake you make, no matter how big it is, no matter who you're
yeah,
hanging with, call me. That's it.
yeah, yeah,
There. We'll not get mad at you at the moment. We'll talk about it later, but you have to call me because you're got drunk drinking, drunk driving,
yeah,
anything. Call me
yeah,
first. Don't
yeah,
call anybody else. I'm there.
yeah,
We'll figure it
yeah,
out. But
yeah.
then now this is tying with another question we got from a viewer from Noida.
Mm,
So this also leads to peer pressure. Now, how do we tell children? How do we
yeah.
tell them to understand peer pressure and what to do, what they feel is okay, and not buckle down under peer pressure? In the same
Mm,
time, like,
mm,
try to call us. How do we build that faith, trust? We
yeah,
do keep rebuilding it because we have nowhere to go. We're not throwing our kids out of the house.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
how do we tie this in with the peer pressure issue?
First thing first, we need to understand like everything exists on a spectrum, right? So if a child is conforming to some of the things that are happening, say in school, right? You have to, before you start reacting to it as a parent, you have to assess whether this is okay,
Pick
right?
your battle. Pick your
Yeah,
battles.
choose your battles wisely. And, not everything that your child is doing that you don't agree to is wrong, right?
Yeah.
Having said that, yes, kids are under a lot of influence, be it social media, school, or whatnot. So the first thing that you absolutely have to do is you have to try a collaborative approach. You cannot be controlling, even when it comes to peer pressure, right? You cannot tell them that you're not allowed to do that, and that's fine. You have to sit them down and you have to talk to your kids like they're adults. You have to explain them that this is what the repercussion could be. This is what we're afraid of, right? And you also have to give them a sense that you're all on the same team. That's one, right? Collaborate with your child. Be their friend. You have to enter a partnership, not be in like a power dynamic situation with your children. It is a partnership, right? The second thing that I would also, encourage people to do with their kids is to find their line, right? Things are not black or white. So it's not that you're either allowed to do that or you're not. So you have to
Yeah.
really find out that what works for you. So do you think that maybe if you go to that party, if you don't stay up till the end, but you maybe come back in an hour, would that work? Right? Because your friends are pressurizing you to go for it. I'm not saying that you can't go all together, but maybe you go for a little bit, right?
Hmm.
but
So as parents,
Yeah.
we tend to think of things in, yeah,
yeah, Anushka, I mean, you're
please tell
right.
me. Yes.
We expect them to come to us, or they know that we have their back. But then,
Yeah,
do you think it would be like sometime
yeah,
I also this is a very volatile situation where we're like, the hand holding, we don't know when to leave it, when to hold it, when to say, okay, these are the consequence. Whatever you do, you have to be responsible for the consequences as well. We can't have their back all the time, right? For anything or everything. Yeah, some things as we do, we understand that. But that drawing that line to what level is okay, to what level is not okay. As a parent, we also don't know. We are also confused at times, different situations. So for us, what would be the right approach, to keep that balance?
It's you might have two kids and the same approach won't work with both your children.
Yes. Every child is different.
Every child is different. So you might have two kids under the same roof, but you'll have to use two very different parenting styles with both of them, right? And before I answer that question, something that I want to debunk for a lot of parents out there is that you are also going to make mistakes. You're not perfect, right? So even in raising your child, if there are moments when you feel that, did I do this correctly? Or was I right when I said that? And even if you weren't, it's okay. You don't have to beat yourself up for it, right? But having said that, your question being that, how do we assess that, we need to give them the leeway or we need to let them be in this situation is really through repeated experiences. So the first time you have a new experience with your child, you may not know what's the best way of dealing with it, but you too are going to learn from that experience.
Okay, let's dive into one more question that we got from one of our viewers from UK. So she's asked, how do we deal with the silent treatment and sulkiness, especially when the child dives into the phone, the moment that is an escape? And how do we get them to use the phone less in that case?
We've had these questions a lot in different forms. That how do we deal, because they're older now, so they have the phone. How do we deal with, especially when it's part of their emotional expression?
Absolutely. So, passively scrolling on the phone is a coping mechanism for a lot of people out there, forget alone teenagers, even for us. And that mostly comes from a place where we're emotionally hijacked in a way that we don't even know what are we feeling right now. So let's just like go into a shell, start using our phone and avoid the situation altogether. Now, a lot of times kids are learning or picking up patterns from their parents, you know. So in between partners, they're observing, does my mom do that? Is her way of dealing with confrontation completely by avoiding it altogether? Right? So, like look inward and try to understand that, okay, firstly, is anyone at home dealing with a certain situation in this manner? And why is my child picking up on this? Right? Secondly, as parents, we focus a lot on studies and intellectual development, but how much are we really focusing on emotional development? How much are we really telling our child to, label their emotions, regulate their emotions? And that is exactly why they go into a shell and they're constantly on their phone because they've not been taught how to deal with it. So sit with your kid. And even if they just say that I'm frustrated, I'm anxious, that's enough. But you need to help them understand what they are feeling because the what is going to help them understand how to regulate it.
So another interesting question by Stressed Mother, she wrote from Delhi. How do we deal with the two versions of our child at school and at home? When I go to PTMs, the teachers say he's so obedient, attentive, but at home he's so snappy and angry. Why is this happening to my child? He was so sweet a year ago. Heard someone really upset.
Yeah, I'm also one of the parent. I also have this question all the time.
Oh, really? Wow. So it's becoming a relevant problem, and that means, right? But this tells you something very interesting about the child's psyche, and that is that maybe out of the two environments, one environment feels safer, right? It could be school, it could be any place outside the house. So that really goes to show you or tell you that there is something about the house that's making my child act out. Right.
I want to interject here a little bit.
Yes.
Is it true that a child feels if they're more safe, they can show their real colors as well.
Absolutely, because they know
Maybe
that
they're
their
putting
feelings are
on
going
a
to be
fake.
validated.
Yes, because at home, they know they can get away with it because this is your safe spot. Outside, we all have the layer, right? And they're
Yeah.
smart. And I mean, would that be one of the things too, maybe?
Yeah, maybe sometimes kids tend to take their parents for granted. So it's like, I can get away with anything that I want, right?
And also they
Um,
feel safe enough because mothers, why do kids behave, why do they snap at their moms more? Because they know that
yeah,
moms are always there for them. It's a safe zone.
exactly. It's a safe zone,
Is it a
right?
safe zone, or it's like sometimes are we being disrespected? For us also, we need to understand, we do feel disrespect. Oh my God, my child doesn't respect me because
Yeah,
he said
yeah,
this or answered back to me. So
yeah,
it's a very tricky situation when to feel like, yeah, sometimes we have to tell him, no, stop, you cannot behave like that,
yeah,
right? Straight away,
yeah,
no, this is not allowed. Or maybe sometimes we have to
yeah,
let it go. I don't know. That
yeah.
how
But
should we?
that's the thing with parenting, that if our child is doing something, we tend to internalize it and label ourselves as, are we not good enough? Or, did we do something wrong? And if he is speaking to me in a disrespectful manner, then did I do something? And very little focus is actually put on, okay, why is my child? Why is he speaking in a, the entire idea is he spoke to me like this. So very little focus is put on the idea of what's making him talk to me like this. Is he going through something? Is there
Why is
something that we're not addressing here?
Yeah. Wow, that's really an
Yeah,
important piece of the puzzle, right?
yeah.
Um,
Yes, yes,
so I think on today's session, it all boils down to communicate and collaboration with
yes,
trust.
yes, yes. They're
We're
just
not
like
perfect.
some of the key
Definitely not.
ingredients.
Yeah. Our
Yeah,
parents weren't perfect. We're so let's try to make this the basis for all relationships. Your kids are
yes,
no longer babies. They are going to have their
yeah,
own personalities. Let's have
yes, yeah.
faith in what they're doing and
Hmm.
um talk to them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like what we
yeah,
always say, Navita,
yeah.
talk to
Keep
them.
talking. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I know that you'll be
Patient and trust.
surprised. Yes, you'll be
Yeah.
surprised that everything works like a two-way street. So if you trust your kids, they are going to trust you. If you respect your kids, they're going to respect you. It's just how it works.
And at the basis of that, once you establish that, I think the parents, your gut will be in the right place. So if you think your child
Mhm.
needs to be left alone for a while, leave
Yeah,
them alone. Don't hound them. Give them some
yeah,
space. Then go back to them and say, "We're right here. Don't worry. You
yes,
can come back to us
yeah,
when you're ready."
yeah,
That
yeah,
was really informative and helpful. I think,
yeah.
Anushka, we will have to bring you in again to answer
Uh,
more questions. Unfortunately, we're running out of time today.
so before we, you know, end this, do you have any parting advice to all those parents who are wondering what happened to their children who until a year ago wanted nothing more than to spend time with their parents and now they're all together a different file?
Spend more time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I would just say that please be reflective and not reactive. You know, parenting is a great opportunity for you to like literally build the next generation. And there's so much that you can do there. And you can also through your parenting styles somewhere change the very trend of parenting because we tend to parent our kids the way we have been parented by our parents, right? So it just it's just something that goes or passes down from one generation to the other. And you are going to make mistakes. Your children are going to make mistakes. We're all humans at the end of the day, right? So not to beat yourself up for it or, be very harsh with your kids when they do that. Blaming yourself isn't really going to do a lot. So really have a lot of self-compassion and also extend that compassion towards your kids is what my parting advice would be on today's episode. Yeah.
Lovely. That was good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Well, that's all on Talk to Us today. Hope you enjoyed our show today. To get in touch with Anushka, please check the description box for all her details. And if there's any topic you would like to discuss with us, please share with us in the comment section below or email us at hello@talktoustoday.com. And let your friends know where to find us.
Yeah, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to stay notified of our new videos every Friday at 6 p.m. Thanks for joining us on Talk to Us today. Remember to talk about Talk to Us today. Keep smiling.
Keep laughing. And like Anushka said, keep talking.
Yeah, keep talking.
Talk to each other.
Yeah.
See you guys next